to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to talk about the news that has come out from Ian Rapoport with his tweet talking about the Detroit Lions and the fact that they are looking to potentially trade down and that teams have been receptive. We'll pull up the exact tweet in a second. It has been said for months. I mean, you go all the way back to the Combine. The Giants and the Lions both came out, both GMs came out and said that both teams were open for business, as they should. I think both teams sit in a prime position to trade down. I think we all realize that, being that they both already have their quarterback, and there are quarterback-needy teams picking right behind them with the Miami Dolphins and the Chargers, both at 5 and 6. Of course, the Chargers lost Rivers. The Dolphins don't really have a quarterback at this point in time, unless you think Rosen's the guy. But most people seem to think that the Dolphins will be in the market for a quarterback. Of course, the news came out today as well that Tua's stock could be potentially dropping, as it has been reported that a couple of teams he failed their physical. Whether or not that's the Dolphins or Chargers, or if that'll have an effect on their mindset, remains to be seen. But it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Now, if Tua has dropped off the market, well, that makes Herbert really the only guy that I see one of those two teams moving up for. Yes, I suppose Love is possible, and Tua is still possible, but based on the theory that maybe Tua's stock is dropping, I would think Herbert's the guy to move up for. And if the Lions were to trade down, well, that would certainly affect the New York Giants' possibility of trading down themselves, but I'll get more into it in a second. I wanted to pull up Ian Rapoport's tweet, and this is what he had to say today, a couple hours ago. One team to watch during the NFL draft is the Lions, at number 3. I'm told they've had discussions with teams about potentially moving back from their slot, and that teams wanting to move up have been receptive. As it maps out possibilities, Detroit is always an intriguing team, and Detroit, of course, has a lot of holes to fill, and they, by most people's standards, are in the market for Jeff Okudah. Well, if they want Jeff Okudah, it only makes sense to trade down, especially if it's with the Dolphins, because you're only moving down 2 spots. You go from 3 to 5, you're still getting Okudah there. The New York Giants are not taking Jeff Okudah. It was definitely a possibility before free agency, but the fact that they took James Bradbury, they already have DeAndre Baker, they have Sam Beal on the roster, they have a huge gaping hole in the offensive line and a huge gaping hole at the middle linebacker position in terms of coverage, which is why most Giant fans think they're taking Simmons or a tackle if they remain at 4. That is where I think most people stand. I think that's how most people see it. Could they take Okudah? I suppose it's possible. But if you're the Detroit Lions, you can't really view the Giants as being a threat to take Okudah, which is what the incentive is to trade down. You're still getting the same exact prospect at 5 that you would have gotten at 3, or probably even at 6 that you would have gotten at 3. And, you know, that is a defense that's looking to improve the cornerback position. It only makes sense. Now, if the Lions wanted Simmons, that's a different story. They probably stand pat at 3 and take him, seeing that the New York Giants are definitely a threat to take him at 4. But if Okudah's their guy, it only makes sense to trade down. Now, if you're a New York Giants fan that wants Isaiah Simmons, I think this increases the probability that Simmons is the pick at number 4, and I'll tell you why. If the Lions were to stand pat and take Okudah at 3, well, that definitely increases the probability that the Giants would trade down. And if the Giants were to trade down, well, there's a higher probability that either Simmons would be gone, or that they would probably take a tackle. If they stand at 4, I think it's at least a 50-50 proposition, if Isaiah Simmons is there, that the Giants will take him at that spot. I definitely think a tackle, like I've said, is still in play, but if they were to trade down, I think it would only increase the probability of the Giants getting one of the top 4 tackles in this year's draft. It's going to be very interesting to see how the draft plays out, but I do think when push comes to shove, if the Lions want Okudah, which most people seem to think they want, they will elect to trade down, whether that's at 5 or 6. I don't see them going back much further than that, because if they did, Okudah's gone. I don't see Okudah getting out of the top 8 or 9 picks. Anything's possible on draft night, but I honestly don't see it. But if the Lions covet Okudah, I think they will trade down, and I think they do. So if you ask me one team that I think will trade down, especially hearing this from Ian Rapoport, I think it'll be the Lions. And if they do, I really don't see the Giants trading down. I see them standing pat at number 4. Now, if the Lions elect to stick at 3 and take Okudah, then I think it's a strong possibility the Giants could trade down. But especially with this Tua noise, I don't know if 2 teams are going to trade down to the top 4 picks. Anything's possible. But if the Lions trade down, expect the Giants to stay at 4 and expect that to either be Simmons or a tackle. As always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.